right, with me, I have Justin Kahn, who I don't think needs any introduction. And candidly, I'm a huge fan of the content Justin's been putting out. So I'm really excited for this one. So, Justin, thanks so much for making the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Andrew, thanks for having me. I'm excited. Let's jam.
Yeah, let's jam. Digging into the first topic. So you put out this tweet, distribution versus product, and it kind of went viral. And I've been following you and I've heard kind of how you view that now. Do you want to just give like a 2 quick minute kind of view on like what's more important, like distribution, product, both, neither?
Well, I think I went
know
through
it's
a
not neither.
phase, early when I was an entrepreneur, I was like, working on my product, just in TV days, and then Twitch, and we thought it was all about like creating the best product. And then I went through a phase where I was like, well, actually, I saw these companies that didn't have the best product that were like working really well because they had amazing distribution. And I was like, I actually think distribution is more important than product. And then now I've come back and I was like, no, I was wrong. Having the best product is the most important thing. If you don't have a product that people really like, love and care about, then your company sucks. And it's like going to be rolling a boulder uphill. So I've come full circle and recanted my previous belief that distribution was more important than product.
I would say, would you agree with they're kind of interchangeable. And one thing about product is if you build a product good enough, it can almost work as like your distribution like strategy in a way. So they're kind of like interconnected in like a weird way.
Yeah, they're interconnected, right? If you build a product that's really good enough and it solves a need, and good enough isn't just like you think it's good enough, but it actually solves a need that like somebody that's a burning need for someone, then like the people who are trying to figure out how to solve that problem for themselves will like find your product. They'll like go through incredible lengths to buy it, or use it. And so, I think that's something that people forget. Obviously, like if you want to grow faster distribution, figuring out means of distribution can be very, very important. But I think having that product that solves that burning need is really kind of the most important thing. Now, that's not to be said, like there's plenty of businesses that sell a shitty product and like have pretty good distribution and then they like survive, they exist. But like if you want to be a really great business that like is easy to run for you, then I think having a great product is like the best way to go.
Yeah, I see a lot of great businesses, definitely not at the scale that you built with like Twitch, but like $1 to $2 million business, distribution mostly on like SEO on like the lower end. I see that quite a bit. And that's where I kind of lean sometimes towards like, yeah, like, your customer acquisition cost is low, you're focused on distribution, and you're typically selling like a commoditized product. But I think, would you agree with this? Like if you want to build an iconic company that changes the market, product is by far the most important piece.
I mean, 100%. Like you can't think of a single company that's like a big company that sells a piece of shit product.
Salesforce.
Right? Like that's iconic, right? No, I think that Salesforce. I think that like when Salesforce was created, like Salesforce now is probably not as good, but when Salesforce started, their product was the only one that was online. They like invented that category.
Yeah.
And so they'll be drafting off. And then there's the App Store component, right? Which I think is like a great product innovation. Now you can say the implementation could be better, which is probably true of like almost any product. But, those two things I think really carried Salesforce in a huge way that were substantial innovations at the time.
Yeah. I mean, they were the first to say like, hey, you don't have to install this like on-prem. You can like put this in the cloud, log into like a web interface. So shout out to Mark Benioff if this gets to him for creating SaaS. And then, I mean, arguably, like you just said, and this kind of ties to the distribution versus product, is they have like a very, active ecosystem with their app store. And that's a product. And that has massive distribution. They have literally companies building companies on top of their companies, which creates like this huge moat. So I agree with you. Anything else you wanted to add on that? Because I want to shift over towards the second topic I was telling you about.
Sure, let's go.
So I've been following your journey, and before we started recording, I just wanted to thank you for the video you put out about Atrium and some of the key mistakes that you made. And when I first raised a seed round for my business, I followed your advice. I shared it with my whole team. Sorry, I swear a lot. It's a bad habit.
Thank you.
I did. And I said, hey guys and gals, we need to get narrow on the customer and we need to establish our culture. And so we did an offsite, and that has been instrumental. And I think it brings clarity into every decision you make within the business. So I just want to thank you for that. But as I continue to follow your journey, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but I feel like you're just so happy now. Every video you put out, like you're laughing. And I think that's really, a lot of founders have a goal of, hitting this big number, getting a bunch of zeros. But I don't know, man. Like, I kind of feel like you're winning the game. Like, you're living the life that you want to live. I'm sure you wake up doing whatever you want. I want to talk about this later, but you're building a media company. How do you think about that? Like, how has your life changed since, you've left Atrium? You killed it on Twitch. Any advice to founders, when you think about happiness, like how important is it? Because I've always had a view that the founders that go the distance are the ones that truly love what they're doing. And you seem to have figured that out. And I'm happy for you. And I'm just wondering if you have any tips for other founders on how they can get there.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think the people who go the distance, like, I think anyone can create a $1 billion company. But if you want to create, like all my friends who created 10 billion, $100 billion companies, they figure out how to love what they do. Like they do the thing that they really love. And it's true of anyone who gets to the top of any game, like people I know are the most famous musicians or athletes, or, whatever, they love what they do. You can get to the like top 10% just grinding and like trying to like, do what it takes. But I think if you really want to be in the top 1% or 0.1%, you have to really love it. For myself, I'm pretty happy now, actually. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. And the funny thing is that from the outside, it probably doesn't look that different. Like before I was very unhappy and I was like starting startups and investing. And now I'm like quite happy and I'm mostly spending my days starting startups and investing. And so a lot of people on the outside are probably like, oh, well, that guy's just doing the same shit that he was doing, before. But I think the difference is I spent some time thinking, what would I like to, after Atrium, I was like, well, the story with Atrium is like, basically I started Twitch and then I started this company, Atrium, and like, it was, raised a lot of money, $75 million. And I was like, just really want to have a really big company. And I thought it was a really good idea to create a like multi-billion-dollar unicorn company, whatever. And it didn't work, right? So we returned the capital after a couple of years. It didn't really work, and then we shut down. So then I took some time and I was like, what do I actually like to do? Because at Atrium, I was like kind of working on this thing that I don't really like very much, and I didn't like doing the things that was needed to like make this thing happen, right? Like I didn't really want to work on a product, which was important because like we discussed, having a great product is kind of the most important thing. And it's really hard to outsource product when you're the founder of the company, right? And so I thought about like, what would I do if I didn't get paid for it and I made no money from it and nobody looked at it or watched it or even knew about it? And I thought about the things that I liked doing that gave me energy and started figuring out how to do only those things, or as much as possible. So it turns out the things I like doing are like, I love to learn about new businesses and I love to mentor people and I love to talk about new ideas. And so investing was really like that for me. And like, even while I was working on Atrium, I would like always advise other people's companies and, help them out from my own experience. And that was like something I was doing at the time. Like I had mostly stopped investing because I was like, I should focus on this thing, but I kept advising these companies. And so it was like, it was kind of like I was doing it for free already. And then there's this period of time where there's another set of things. I love to like tell stories and like, kind of be creative. And so for me, that was like creating content and, making these YouTube videos and podcasts or whatever. It's like something I would love to do. And I started doing them with like no expectation of like, oh, I'm going to get a certain number of views or have some number of subscribers or whatever. It's just like putting these out videos. It was enjoyable to me. And I thought, maybe they'd be useful, maybe not, whatever.
They're useful.
And so
they're like, thank you for just, I mean, like just the candidness in terms of like, I think, in the startup community, you don't really hear like candid, like openness on like how a startup failed. And I think that video you put out helped more founders than you realize. Like, so like, I hope we see more of that of just because, as as an investor, most startups don't work out, but you don't really hear like the lessons that could be taught to so many other entrepreneurs. And I took yours. You can ask my whole team. They're like, yeah, I told them I was talking with you today. They're like, oh, no way. That guy helped us narrow down our customer culture. A lot of founders, they build these, lives where they kind of create a job that they hate. And
yes. Yeah.
And that sucks. And it's so easily avoidable if they just kind of like also write down, like, what do you want out of this startup? So that's another thing. Anything else? Any tips you'd give on founders? Like,
Well, I think that, job that you hate idea is like very common. I mean, people don't think about it, but like I have so many friends who are CEOs of companies. They hate their jobs, right? They founded the company. They could do anything. They could make the company anything they wanted to, but they feel very trapped. I think that's because a lot of people end up in what's called their zone of competence. They end up doing the things that they're really good at, but take energy away and they're like from them. And they're like, they feel like they have to do it because that's their obligation. They promise their investors, their employees are counting on them, whatever. And so they end up doing all these things that they're like are needed for the business, but they don't love to do. And consequently they burn out and they feel, but they can't take a break and they feel trapped. And so to me, the remedy for that is to like focus on your zone of genius. What are the things that you would do that give you energy that you're good at? And just stay in your zone of genius and partner with other people to do all the things that are in your zone of competence. And one strategy is what's called a calendar audit. So, print out your calendar and everything that took away energy, circle in red, everything that gave you energy, circle in green. And, this is like retroactive, right? So for the last couple of weeks, and then everything that's red, figure out how to change it so that's not red anymore, or make someone else do it. Repeat that a couple of times and you'll be Gucci.
I love that. And yeah, Gucci. My team actually calls me Gucci Gaz. I don't know why. We did this like investor update where we had like team and my creative director slipped in my name as Gucci Gaz and I sent it out to all my investors. And then one of my lead investors was like, thanks, Gucci Gaz. I'm like, wait, what? Like,
go Gucci Gaz.
No, that's not my name. I don't want that.
That's a great nickname.
The
key to a nickname is that like your creative director has it right? Like the key to giving someone a nickname is to just repeat it over and over and over until the person, the subject, accepts this slightly humiliating, possibly degrading name as their name. Like it's a battle of wills. Like, are you the recipient going to accept it? Continue rejecting it past like my effort, my willpower as the imbuer of the nickname to like continue saying it?
Do you have a nickname?
No, because I'm like Teflon. Nicknames don't stick to me. That shit just slides up.
Oh, there you go. Teflon.
People can't stick nicknames to me because I have that ultimate willpower for defense.
So the funny story about the Gucci Gaz thing was I do this thing every month where, we do high level overview of like business performance, how it did. And I record it live just first try. I ain't got time. And usually I like to do things kind of naturally off the cuff. If I have to do it 3 times, like I'll just stop. Cause I'm like, okay, we're going to get to like take 10 and I suck. But I get to the team slide and it says Gucci Gaz. And even if you watch a recording, I'm like, Gucci Gaz? My creative
I kind of like it. I kind of like it.
No, my nickname is Gaz. All my friends just naturally by default call me Gaz. Only my wife and my mom call me Andrew. And it's gotten to the point where I've had people that like I don't know and they're just like Gaz. I assume it's because they don't know how to pronounce my last name, which is Gazdecki. So they just go Gaz.
Gucci Gaz.
No, don't make that stick, dude. Please.
It's gonna be part of this podcast forever. I feel like that's you're on your way to like that's a great nickname.
Well, let's see. Okay, so let's amazing tips on the calendar. I did that recently myself because when a startup starts taking off, you get a lot of emails like, I want to talk about this, I want to pick your brain on this, will you join this podcast, will you XYZ? And I kind of fell into a little bit of a trap where, not a trap, but again, I feel like with my current startup, it's like a video game to me. So I'm like, anyone that's interested, I'm like, thank you so much. I appreciate you for sure. Let's get on the call and chat. And I noticed those were just kind of burning me out. So actually 2 nights ago, I probably canceled maybe like 12 meetings next week. Because it was, like you said, it literally was, I work with a CEO coach too. And I talked to him, I was like, dude, I'm like on meetings all day. And like, I want to spend time with my team. I want to like spend time on the product. I'm taking away from that. And he said, you got to go on a meeting diet. So I'm on a meeting diet. But moving over towards what you're doing today. So you've been blowing up on YouTube. Like you've built, I subscribe.
I don't know about that. I have like 150,000 subscribers, but that's not very much on YouTube. My audience is very niche. It's I'm aspirational startup founders and startup founders.
I'm going to say it's going to get to 1 million in 6 months. Like the content's
so
not
on
good.
The trajectory to, I know the stats and it's definitely not on a trajectory to get there, but I hope you're right. Gucci Gaz, calling it out right now.
Oh, I got another nickname. And this is a true story. My friends call me Gazluck. Like through college, like through moments at work, there's just been situations where like stuff happens and they're like Gazluck. So maybe that predicts
that's as good as Gucci. I think Gucci is much better.
I'm trying to get you away from the Gucci Gaz.
You can't divert it. It's like, one thing that makes me a good founder is that when I fixate on something, just never gets out of my mind. I'm like very hyper focused once I fixate on something. So, in this case, and unfortunately for you, it happens to be this nickname.
Okay, so if I ever reach out to you, I'll be like, "Hey, Justin, it's Gucci Gaz. How you been?"
Yeah, I'll remember. I'll be like, oh yeah, let's talk. If you're like, hey, it's Andrew Gazdecki, and then
Oh,
I'll be like, who's that?
it's been butchered my whole life. Don't feel
I'll be like,
bad.
who are you? Are
I'm
you
like,
related to Gucci
It's
Gaz?
Gucci Gaz. And you'll be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, okay. But so I loved your thoughts and opinions on this, but I think, with how many startups are being created today, and really with just when I think about marketing, I really think about it in terms of earning your customers' attention. And the best way to do that is through media and content and starting to kind of think like a media company. Do you think that's a good strategy for startups or not a good strategy? Rip it apart, Gucci Gaz, go home.
Well, you mean like to create their own media? I think
Yeah,
it's really
like
important for startups, but I think they should only do it if it's like true to them. I think, in the extreme case, if you look at like Elon Musk, who basically is like, direct channel to his customer and investor base through Twitter, like that's been huge in terms of getting Tesla, both basically being Tesla's marketing and like getting people to like buy into their dream and also buy the product, but then also to like invest in the stock and like to keep his stock price high, which has given him resources. And so, I think that's like a extreme case, but like he obviously probably would do it if there was no benefit because he just likes having this direct channel to like people out there in the world, right? So like it's natural to him. And I think people should, if you love creating content and it's your audience is CEOs and founders and, bootstrappers and, you love to make the content, that's obviously really great for your business. But if you didn't love to create the content, then you'd just be creating a job that you hate, right? So
yeah,
like
now
it's,
we're going back.
you
Now
gotta go,
it's
you gotta make
coming.
sure it's in your zone of genius, or in the zone of genius of someone in your company. So, I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's more important than ever, like, to have a direct channel to your customers and to all your stakeholders, right? Customers, investors, potential employees, existing employees, et cetera, as a founder, but only do it if that's in your zone of genius.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Elon Musk is he's something else. Yeah, he's like a one person marketing machine through Twitter. Like he
Yeah.
can literally move the price of Bitcoin with like one tweet, and that is fascinating to me. So, what excites you most in startups today? So you see a lot of different startups. I was watching a video that you made talking about pitch decks that you receive. You receive a bunch, on a daily basis. What gets you excited right now? Like what areas of tech, data, AI? I don't know. Like, is there a certain sector that like you're really, really excited about or bullish on?
Crypto, like I feel like there's a lot of opportunity in creating these like new apps, decentralized apps that are going to change the economics of how the existing internet infrastructure works. I think that we've kind of created this dynamic where all these people are like that I knew, 10 years ago, like started the right place at the right time, and like now created this marketplace or whatever, where they're basically able to rent seek an entire market for like, I don't know, forever, because they were kind of built this thing at the right place at the right time. And like the people who make the market, the users, both on the buyer and seller side of whatever marketplace it is, don't really accrue any of the long-term benefit, and they kind of like live at the mercy of these like these big companies. And I'm not really sure that's how we want the world to work. Ultimately, that wasn't really the promise of the internet in the kind of web 1.0 version. And so what I'm really excited about with web 3 is this idea that you could create a new economic dynamic for applications and incentivize and reward the people who make the application work.
Yeah, I would completely agree. And I think one thing that we were always focused on at Allcoin, we went pretty deep. Like we had Fabian Vogelsteller on our advisory board. He made the ERC20 protocol. So he's
Yeah.
the dude that spawned all the ICOs and a lot of good ones, a lot of bad ones, connected with Vitalik a few times. So I was deep in there. And one challenge that we always faced was just user experience. We're just, you need to get MetaMask, you need to install XYZ. Like there's so much, like this is how I kind of think of crypto now, and where I see the most opportunity is just building the infrastructure. Like who's going to be like, this might be a dumb statement, but who's going to be like the AWS for crypto projects, or who's going to be like the Stripe, like the infrastructure, so people can quickly build solutions where you basically kind of get to a point where you're using a blockchain application, but you have no idea it's powered by blockchain. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's starting to happen, but kind of right in the middle of that phase of development. And then once that happens, we'll unleash this, huge Cambrian explosion of, actual applications that people use. I mean, there's applications like Audius, for example. It's a project I'm an advisor to, that these guys created a decentralized SoundCloud. And if you go to audius.co, which is like their kind of reference client, you could see it like you don't have to know that it's a decentralized application. right? Like you can go and like play music. It's kind of like a normal app.
That's
I think
like
that's really interesting.
that's the pinnacle, is when you don't know it's powered by blockchain, but you're getting all the benefits of blockchain. That's awesome. What does your life look like now on like a monthly basis? Like, okay,
It changes every day. Every day is different. Working on incubating some companies. I have this fund, Goat Capital. So we invest out of this fund, like in seed stage and a few Series A's. And then we incubate companies as well. So working on some different types of companies, and make content on YouTube and make my podcast, The Quest. And then we spend time with my family. It's like hang out. We travel a lot. Just try to mix it up, keep the brain from going too static.
Nice. Where's the coolest place you've been in the past year? I'm gonna give you a long time horizon because travel's been hard.
I went to a lot of great places. I was in Sardinia and in the Amalfi Coast, which is really nice, and then south of France and Croatia. Kind of spent a couple months like a month in Europe, which is great.
I love Croatia. My that brings back to Allcoin. The team is based in Bosnia, so when I took a trip out to Bosnia, I had to stop in Croatia, Dubrovnik and Split. Spent most of the time in Split. Beautiful town.
Yeah. For sure.
What else I got for you? I don't know, man. I think this is just such a refreshing conversation. I'm just so happy for you. And just like, I want to let you know, just like the amount of entrepreneurs that you're influencing, like maybe, you don't understand it, but like I get your videos from friends. I share your videos with my friends. I share your videos with my team. So just, dude, thank you for just like helping entrepreneurs and just, normalizing like mistakes and like helping others and just showing like, there's a way to like, be happy when, you kind of figure out what you really want to do.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Smash that like button and subscribe. You know what to do.
I'll put in all the links. But Justin, this has been a ton of fun. Usually end this with I do want to ask you 2 more questions.
Okay, let's go.
Who is these are easy ones, these are softballs. Who's your favorite entrepreneur? Who's someone like you look up to and you're like, that's
my favorite entrepreneur is Elon Musk. I don't want to be him because I don't think I could, first of all. So like, let's not make any mistake, but I wouldn't want to because I just feel like he puts 110% of everything, and not just like the fake 110%, but the like maybe just the real 100%. Like literally,
he has some like video quotes where he's on like an interview and they're like, do you think it's a good idea to start a company? He's like, no. And they're like, why? He's like, it's not healthy. Like, what do you mean? He's like, my brain hurts like bad.
Exactly.
Like,
I don't want to be him, but I admire him.
Oh, I got a funny story I'll share with you. So if you Google BuzzFeed couch Elon Musk, for some reason there's an interview with Elon Musk. This was like 3 years ago. I'm hoping this might make you laugh, but someone made a GoFundMe page to buy Elon Musk a better couch because he's like, this is where I sleep sometimes in the office. And everyone's like, we can't have the guy, trying to get us to Mars sleeping on that. Like, let's donate. So I donated money to help him buy a better couch. And BuzzFeed, called me for comment on the article, and I was getting off a plane in Mexico. So I'm in customs and I'm on the cell phone, like talking to this reporter saying stuff like, he's a billionaire. Like, yeah, he needs like he's trying to put people on Mars. Like, of course he needs a better couch. And people are looking at me like, what is this kid talking about right now? I'm like, he's building rockets. Like, we need to get to a better, it was like a joke thing, but he did get a better couch.
Amazing. Well, you've done your part in getting humanity to Mars. Sir.
I'm a huge Elon Musk fan. His story from like the intervention he had where they're like, car company, rocket company, like, are you serious? And he's like, yep. And he just kept on going. You ever hear that story with like the PayPal mafia? They all kind of sat him down and was like, you're gonna go bankrupt, and he kept going.
Oh, well, yeah, he's a true believer. I love that. Really puts his money where his mouth is. Okay, what was your other question?
Favorite book?
It's a book called Shogun by James Clavell. It's a historical fiction based on roughly true events about this English sailor who gets marooned in Japan, in feudal Japan in 1600. And he kind of gets wrapped up in this political intrigue between like feudal lords of Japan. Some incredible book. And there's a lot of life lessons in there if you look closely enough.
Nice. I'll check it out. Well, Justin, I don't think you need any sort of like where to find you. But YouTube channel, Twitter, I'll put all that in the link. Again, thanks for all that you do, man. I mean, you're inspiring entrepreneurs on a daily basis, and I personally appreciate it. Thanks for making the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Gucci guys, I'll see you later.
No. All right, that's going to stick. All right, see you, bud.
Later.